All right. What are we doing next?
James Coleman.
Wins and whiffs?
No, John wants to do 15 episodes tonight.
I mean,
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Five Idiots Talking Toys. It's Sunday night, and that means it's time for another idiotic topic. Tonight we are going to discuss our better halves, our significant others, and what they think about our collecting hobby. So hopefully it'll be a little bit of a spicy topic. We're going to get into it with the boys. Please check out our Patreon. Before we jump in, let me throw that on the screen. Patreon.com/Five Idiots Talking Toys. You can find everything about the show there. You can get early previews to all of our content, as well as episodes that are just for Patreon called Five Idiots After Dark, where we get a little bit adult themed, I think. Not so clean as YouTube and our podcast. But also you'll get collections that you can see coming up for sale in advance, as well as a couple other benefits. So definitely check that out. Let's bring in Lord Walden. Oh, nice mug.
Cheers.
Are you going to get that signed by Warwick Davis next month? No. Okay.
Not for $150.
Is that what it is?
Probably. I mean, Lando Calrissian's or
400.
Billy D. Williams is 385.
Yeah, if you want to send it in, it's 400.
Ridiculous.
Woof. Charles is here with
Shane. Got the Hurley hats.
Oh, nice. Look at us. Sweet.
Is that Hobie?
John, do you have a Hurley hat?
No.
John,
not
switch out your Hurley hat.
All right.
Okay.
Only a Hurley hat allowed.
Chris, that's a Hurley hat, right?
my win for the week. Oh, we're not doing wins.
Is that a Hurley hat?
A who? A Bob
Hurley hat?
Hurley?
All right, he's out.
He's out. All right, one more time. We're gonna give it a try. Oh God,
He's out.
Oh, I brought it back. You get it back. All right, welcome to Two Idiots Talking About Hurley Hats on Sunday night. All right, well, let's bring the boys in. Brandon is here. Chris is here.
If we're talking about Liz Hurley, then I'm in.
Oh, I'm with you.
They're talking about girly hats.
Yeah.
Oh, girl, yes.
Todd Gurley?
Is he still playing?
I think so.
No.
He's got to be retired, right?
Yeah, no, he's not playing.
He's not playing?
He was a
Okay.
2-year wonder.
He's still living back in the Georgia Bulldog.
Hey, I'm living in the present. The dogs are badass still. Number one in the nation.
John just loves everything about Georgia. I've never seen someone love their state. John, I would take a dump on New York State if I could.
Ask me, well,
living here.
That's just the way you Yankees are. Ask me a question about Georgia.
John, I don't even know when to even ask you because I don't think of
Who
Georgia
was the founder of Georgia?
James Oglethorpe.
Wait, I have one. Does everyone in Georgia clear their throat before they say something?
No.
All right, so let's jump into this topic, guys. Pretty funny one, on the docket here. What do our significant others, our wives, our girlfriends, think about our collecting hobby? Who wants to start us off? Chris, I feel like you're somebody good to go to because you were in full swing when you got married, and you knew your wife beforehand somewhat, right? You went to school with her.
I was friends with my wife beforehand.
Yeah.
Like, we used to hang out like in the same group of setting. But my wife didn't know I collected Star Wars.
Yeah.
Until we actually moved in together.
Oh.
So we got an apartment together in Astoria, and I was ordering stuff to the apartment, but I worked nights, so I was home during the day. She would be at work. She never saw the mail. I was hiding them underneath my dresser and the bottom drawer of the dresser because I was finishing my loose graded collection at the time.
What a loser.
One day she ended up seeing piles of acrylic underneath the dresser. She was like, what is this? And then I literally had to come clean and explain how she was dating me, living with me, and had no idea that I collected toys. I was embarrassed.
Did you have lots of trips to the bathroom to check Facebook and stuff for sales?
Of course.
He was a bathroom phone pilot pioneer.
Yeah.
I mean, I was totally embarrassed to tell her.
Yeah. What about you other guys?
Well, I want to know, how does she feel about it now?
Oh, she's numb.
Well, it's my job now. So now when she sees the packages, the boxes, the amount of stuff that's down here, she actually gets excited by it because she knows I'm actually working and then like making money. So
she just sees Prada and Louis Vuitton logos when she sees those boxes.
Yeah, she doesn't really look at it like that anymore.
Yeah.
She is actually completely cool and and understands it. Like out of nowhere, I told her last week I have to go to Jersey the following day to pick up a collection, and she was like, "Okay," like she was cool,
right? But now you're not putting large custom figures with ample dongs hanging off of them on the kitchen counter, though, right?
No, it wasn't as bad as it was last year. Like,
in San Diego, you mean? Not as bad as it.
Like when that baby was coming last year, and I literally had Imperial shuttles as nightstands, which is not even an exaggeration. It was dead true. She was not happy about that.
Right.
Because I was literally using the acrylic as like a coffee.
Yeah.
Ghost.
Brandon, what about you? You've been a lifelong collector. I feel like this is lifelong.
I stopped in high school like everybody else, or before that.
Yeah.
And then I actually blame my wife for this because I didn't pick up another toy or action figure or anything Star Wars related until we were dating, and she took me to the flea market over here. She's like, "Hey, you should check out this local flea market, and sometimes they got some pretty good stuff." So we went, and the first thing I bought was one of the vinyl cases. Didn't have any figures in it at the time. I was like, "Oh, check this out. I remember this." So I bought it. I brought it back, and next thing you know, I go on eBay and I start ordering figures to put in the case. And that was fine because it was just one vinyl case that held, I don't know what, 24 figures or whatever.
Yeah.
26 figures, something like that, 24. So that was fine until I started ordering more and more. And she's like, "What are these boxes?" And I'm like, "Nothing, whatever." And I would just throw them in the garage. And then I started amassing my collection in the garage with multiple figures. And next thing you know, it just blew up out of control. And that's the one thing she's like, "I never knew that you collected toys for as long as we've been together." And now she's like, "I don't know who I married." And I was like, "It's not that bad. Come on." And she's like, "No, it's bad."
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at now. But same thing like Chris, I can't, if I bring it into the house and it starts getting in the way, that's when we start to have problems.
Yeah.
So I have to like keep it out of her way and keep it, nowhere on the kitchen counter or on the buffet area and all that. I can't put it there, even though there's plenty of counter space and there's like tons of room to work there. I just can't do it because I'll be sleeping on the couch for sure.
Yeah. I just remember the story of you putting the figure.
House.
I just remember you putting the custom figure on the counter just to see what her reaction was, and I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I can't. She told me to move out already, so get my own place, and I was like, okay. And I was like, I'll go do it. I'll just get another apartment or whatever, and I'll just put all the stuff there. And I was like, but you'll never see me again.
Yeah.
So I told her. So I'm looking for apartments.
That means no more Metallica shows for her, though.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. Well, Charles, what about you? What is your story, your collecting story look like in relation to, meeting your wife and dating and all that stuff?
she didn't really mind that much. I mean, I had like, stuff here and there, like no big deal. Then my son was born and he saw his first Lego, and he's been addicted for like 6 years. Like he just loves Star Wars Lego. And then I think I told her like one night I'm buying like a Lego collection, and she's like, now? It was like 11:30 at night. Drove like a half an hour away, met some like weird guy in like a Target like parking lot, and yeah, I've been really embarrassed since then. It's been just being embarrassed.
But you collected vintage Star Wars and some 90s Star Wars maybe well before Lego though, right?
Yeah, and then whoever I know or I'm friends with or I work with or whatever, and they find out that I either have a Star Wars podcast or I collect Star Wars, their like first thing is they always like smile and they're not happy about
it. John, you've been collecting for a really long time. I mean,
like 65 years.
Oh,
here we go.
No,
Here we go.
Like 91 years, I think, right?
No.
It's been 84 years.
It's been 84 years. Well, when I started dating Jennifer, I told her, I said, well, just so you know, I mean, first date, I said, well, I buy, sell, and trade vintage toys. And she said, oh, that's cool. I said, no, I don't think you understand. I buy, sell, and trade vintage toys. I also collect. She goes, oh, okay, that sounds cool. Whatever. I was like, I don't think you understand what I mean. Until she came over to the house and came down in the basement where all my stuff is. And she's like, oh, you really do? I said, I told you I did. I don't think people understand the extent of collectors' lives and interests when they say they're collectors.
Yeah.
And I guess I don't know if they just underestimate it or they think, it's no big deal, whatever.
Well, I don't know if this is true in all cases, but I feel like most women just don't have hobbies in general. Like
Maybe.
I know my wife doesn't have any hobbies.
Yeah.
And I tell her all the time, get a hobby.
Yeah.
They don't have hobbies. They have like makeup and like creams and like
Facial regiments and stuff. Yeah.
like stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's
Getting
true.
their
Some
nails
people,
done. I just want to get my nails done. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure.
some people like to,
Stupid to waste money on that.
knit or whatever, like stuff like that. But like it comes and goes so fast. Like I think my wife, knitted a blanket one time and then that was it. And I was like, oh, she's got a new hobby. Nope, that was like a one-time thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and now Jennifer is like, we're partners in this online pop culture, vintage toys, sales thing.
Rogue5toys.com.
Yeah.
No, shopthevaultonline.com. We have a lot of great items there.
Mhm.
That
Every
wouldn't
time. Shop.
shopthevaultonline.com.
Wait, no, Chris, you're wrong. It's shopthevaultonline.com.
I got some but yeah, shopthevaultonline.com.
Mhm.
You can see that shirt that Chris is wearing. We have those available.
Do you?
Yeah.
$7?
I think maybe it's WrestleMania 3.
$7?
Oh no,
You have this one, John?
no, we don't have that one.
Oh,
But anyway, so
You have this
we're
one?
partners with that now, and I've kind of sucked her into the world. So when I bring home a bag full of stuff, or if I get a bunch of boxes on the porch, she's like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
I mean, there was a short period of time where I actually felt like my wife understood and actually didn't mind what I did. And then when I found out that she was telling people that I was an entrepreneur as a living, I said, yeah, no. I buy roached out boxes of toys and dirty figures and clean them up and sell them. I would not call myself an entrepreneur.
Right.
And she's like, well, technically you are. And I'm like, well, that's just putting, icing on the cake.
Yeah,
I don't know.
let her introduce you that way.
She might be doing it. Maybe she's proud of what you're doing or whatever. And I mean, my wife, I don't know if she does this to talk shit about me or what, but she will tell people that I'm on a podcast, a toy podcast. Like, and I'm just like, why do you have to tell everybody I'm on a toy podcast? She's like, Brandon's on this toy podcast, and then people are like, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like burying my head in my hand, she's like, yeah, he's on this toy podcast and whatever, and then people are like, really? Wow,
Yeah, exactly.
It's really cool.
There's nothing to be ashamed of.
It seems really cool, and then I think it blows up in her face because then she's like, what? They think it's cool?
No, they're not.
Yeah. I know what you
They're
mean.
embarrassed to tell you that you're a loser.
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's anything to be embarrassed about. What's your story, Shane?
I've told this before. I mean, I had a whole bunch of toys, different
we're
toy
out of time,
lines as a kid. As a kid, I never really collected as an adult at any point. I had a couple of things here and there, like very, few odds and ends.
Really?
And then I came across the Leia figure, the Black Series, super detailed, a 6-inch figure that they never had, years ago. And so I got that just for a goof. And then I started collecting some others. And at the time there was only, 20 or so of them total. And so then it was like, oh, let me get a couple more. And well, I'll get this one. And then I'll get that one. And then of course they come out with the, the red line and start coming out with new ones. So my wife
drives.
My wife is like, what, watching this happen, and I'm excited, and I'm explaining like, oh, then I got this one and I bid on this one. And she's like, oh yeah, okay. Well, whatever keeps you busy, I guess. And this is when my daughter was already born. She's like, a year or two old. So she's busy with a new house, a new baby, and I'm busy with a house and buying a few figures. And then it just kept growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
So finally she was like, all right, you've got an entire wall of boxed, figures here. Like, what are you doing with all of these? And I said, I think I'm just over it. Like, I can't even see them anymore. I think I'm going to get rid of them. And I sold them all, which, you guys have said was kind of at the perfect time. I sold them all when they were kind of at their height of price, and went over to the vintage just for the nostalgia of it. So there was never really much discussion. She's just, she's fairly happy as long as I'm keeping busy or whatever. There was a couple times where boxes were arriving on a daily basis for a couple of months where she's like, all right, how much are you spending on this stuff? And then that goes into Chris's explanation, like, oh, $25,
Everything's $25.
everything's $25.
Yeah.
So she knows obviously she could see what I have. She's fine with it, but I've also slowed way down. Like in the last year and a half, I mean, literally since the last ICCC, which was, almost a year and a half ago now. I mean, I buy stuff just for the Wins and Whiffs episodes these days. Like, I'm not really buying that much. It's not.
He hasn't
coming
even
in.
unpacked his luggage from that trip.
No, it's still in the it's still in the hallway downstairs.
Yeah. Most of the stuff that I buy is for the shop. It's for the vault.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like 95% of it.
The only thing my wife knew that I collected when we first started dating was sneakers, because I collect sneakers also. So I also like to collect Jordans. So that she saw, because I had a 2-bedroom apartment and one bedroom was just my sneakers. And then my toys were hidden because I was embarrassed when people...
In the sneakers, they were hidden.
Yeah, I used to put the figures like the Lobots inside the shoe. So clearly the sneakers you would see, and people always still thought that was weird. It's like, why do you need 107 pairs of Jordans when you haven't even worn 70 of them? They're brand new. And I'm like, I just like to have them.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. It's probably, honestly, I think it's all a mental illness at the end.
Yeah.
It is.
It definitely is.
Well, what's funny is I still feel it's a little embarrassing to say this, and I don't know why, but I met my wife online. I mean, I met my wife, by going to websites, like go to Match.com and stuff. And
I never knew that.
And we would never really tell anybody that early on. We're talking like 2007 now. We would never tell anybody that because it was still kind of
at that
not
time,
mainstream.
At that time, it wasn't like a normal thing. Now it's completely normal.
No, then we get married in 2013, and somebody, we tell somebody that, and they're like, oh yeah, I met my boyfriend on there, and all my friends got their, boyfriends and girlfriends on there and stuff. And now it's like, with all the different apps and stuff like that, it's one of the number one ways that you meet somebody.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be embarrassed about that at all. I met my wife at HQ pool party in Atlantic City.
At the what do you call it? What's the hotel?
Revel.
Revel, right. Yeah. But no, at the time it was uncommon. At least it wasn't uncommon. There was millions of people on there, but it was uncommon to
It's still a little
to talk about that. So it's kind of like the same thing. Like, what's your name again? By the way, I collect Star Wars toys. It's like, okay, let's keep that on the wraps.
Yeah, you don't want to come straight out and tell someone that right away.
Right.
I do.
John does, but
yeah.
John's like first date. Hey, I'm a serial killer and I collect toys.
John basically said this on his first date. Hey, my name is John. I am 75 years old and I collect Star Wars.
Yeah. Hi, what's your name again?
I mean-
Do you know how many faces a B-wing pilot has?
No, I mean, that's the barometer of whether I could continue a relationship with this person or not. If she's like,
I mean, you do have a point. I mean, don't start a relationship and then, 6 months later you invite her over and your house is covered in action figures.
Yeah.
Probably not a good idea to do that. Just come, if you got crabs, just tell them straight up front you got crabs.
Well,
My wife has grown into it because the kids like it now too.
Yeah. Well, that's that. I mean, that kind of helps the whole thing. Is
They don't like Star Wars. They just like the toys. They like seeing it. They
but
saying, "Do you have a Boba Fett in there?"
Yeah. What's funny though is that we've talked about 40-Year-Old Virgin a bunch of times on the show because that's one of the examples that jumps out in your head. He's got toy collection. He's 40 years old, and it's a funny movie. If you look at the room that he has like one Detolf with some figures in it, and then like a couple of other figures above that. That's it.
I mean, yeah, that's nothing.
Like he's got nothing compared to us.
Yeah, we're way worse.
So,
What are you eating, John?
rice pudding.
Cereal?
I was brought an ice cream sundae.
Oh,
Is that from Jennifer?
Hot sundae, yep.
How come she didn't bring the four of us one?
Oh, well, I don't think it fit through the interwebs.
look at that bowl. That bowl is from 1961.
That's a vintage bowl.
That is a vintage.
These were my grandmother's.
Yeah.
You can tell because it's like it's very shallow. It's not a deep bowl.
Yeah, it's the Corel,
God,
my grandmother's.
Yeah, I recognize.
no, yeah, the Corel.
go for on shopontheonlinevolt.com or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Shop
Shop on the line.
ShopTheVaultOnline.com.
So you have vanilla ice cream.
Yep.
What's on it?
Hot fudge,
Okay.
Reese's peanut butter syrup.
Okay.
Oh, that shit is so good.
Yeah.
That's
Chopped nuts and whipped cream.
wow.
5
Chopping
components.
Wow.
Really?
I can hear your cholesterol.
All right. Well, there we go. So I have a question for the audience. Let's hear in the comments what your significant other thought when they first found out that you're a toy collector. How did you break it to them? What was their reaction?
And how
there's
many
got to
of
be
you
some
got
funny
divorced?
stories.
How many
Do
of
they
you got
even
divorced because of it?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Rolo says make a comment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Charles is starting a revolution. He says Rolo called him and said, make a comment. Don't wear gloves. It's a no glove revolution. But make a comment below about your significant other when they found out about your toy collection. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/5 Idiots Talking Toys. Subscribe to the channel here on YouTube or on your favorite podcast app. And we will see you next time on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Good night, fellas.
We'll see you next time, unless I moved out by then.
Bye.
Unless
that's
Brandon's
what?
in his apartment by then.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bye, James. Bye, James. Bye, James.
that's your studio.